Hello everyone, this is a comparison between two binoculars from the Nikon Prostaff series. The Nikon Prostaff 7S in 10x42 and the Nikon Prostaff P7 also in 10x42. The P7 is one of the latest models in the Nikon Prostaff series. It was released in the middle of 2022. I bought the Nikon Prostaff P7 in 10x42 because I wanted a pair of binoculars with a wide field of view, and the P7 provides a very wide field of view for a 10x42. The field of view is 122 meters at 1000 meters. If you multiply this distance by 3, you can get the distance in feet at 1000 yards. That is to say 366 feet at 1000 yards. When I decided to buy these binoculars, I was afraid of the amount of blur at the edge, but when I look through those binoculars, I don't say that one is better than the other one in terms of edge-to-edge sharpness. When I look through those binoculars, I think they are the same amount of blur. So it means that on the P7 the sweet spot is better. So if we don't look at the size of the field of view, I think the sweet spot is bigger on the P7. Okay. About the central sharpness, I don't see any difference between the two models. The colors are more vivid on the P7 when I look at this tree. Well, what's more? So what can we do now? So we can talk about the control of the glare. One of the consequences of the incident light. So here, this is it's my shadow. So you guess that the sun is behind me. So let's see what happens when I do a full turn 380 degrees with the binoculars. So first, let's do it with the P7. Okay. So the eye relief is not long enough for my cam scope, so I don't know how to do. Okay. Okay, you can see glare at the bottom. Now on the left and on the right. Now on the left. Okay, now only on the left. Okay, here the glare disappears. Okay, it was a full turn up. So now with the Nikon Prostaff 7S, up. Okay, the glare starts. Okay, here you get that the sun is just above us. That's why the glare is at the bottom. Okay. Okay, honestly, I don't see any difference on the glare control. So now let's talk about the distortion. In both cases, there are barrel distortions, and since the field of view is wider on the P7, so we can find more barrel distortion, just a little bit more. If we look at this tree, okay, but barrel distortions are not very bothersome for bird watching or for natural observation, because a tree stays a tree even with distortion, so it's not really bothersome. Okay, now let's try to talk about the chromatic aberration. Okay, here. Okay, there you can see that there are dark branches. I think it would be perfect to see the difference, if there is a difference, about the correction of the chromatic aberrations. So with the 3S, so let's have a look. The P7. I feel like there are more chromatic aberrations on the P7 with both my eyes, but when I look through one barrel, I don't see that there is more chromatic aberration than on the 3S. So maybe it's very important to adjust the IPD, the interpupillary distance. Honestly, I don't know if one has more chromatic aberration than the other. Now we can talk about the control of the Kine-Bin effect. The eyecups on the P7 are very long, maybe too long for my face. The eyecups are a little bit shaky. So what I find interesting is that when I turn the eyecups to reach the position between the two last positions, hey, let's say that this is position number 1, number 2, 3 and 4. I turn the eyecup between the 3rd and 4th position. So there is no shake on the eyecups, so it's interesting. And I like this position because I can see the full field of view and I can avoid the Kine-Bin effect. On the Prostaff 7S, I think the eyecups are not long enough to fully avoid the Kine-Bin effect. The eye relief is between 15 and 16 millimeters on both models. I don't know exactly, but the most important thing is the way they fit with eyeglass. And so with this eyeglass, it's more comfortable to use with the P7. And I'm going to explain why. Okay. You see that the edge of the eyecup is very flat on the P7, but on the 7S there is a curvature. It creates an angle, so it means that the effective eye relief can be better on the P7, because maybe there is more room for eyeglass. And we can also see that the eyepiece lenses on the P7 is bigger than on the 7S. So for all this reason, it's more comfortable to use eyeglass with the P7 than the 7S. It's very nice because the field of view on the P7 is much wider than on the 7S. 122 meters at 1000 meters, and here on the 3S 108 meters at 1000 meters. So now about the balance. I think the balance is a bit better on the 3S because when I put my index finger on the focus wheel, the front of the binoculars don't want to crash on the ground. But if you place the majority of your fingers in the front of the binoculars, maybe you can feel the same balance in the two models. So it depends of the shape of your hands, the size of your hands. Okay, but I can feel the difference because I don't have bigger hands. It's not huge, but it's there. Now you can see another detail. On the Nikon Prostaff 7S, there is a hole for a tripod adapter. Okay, here. And but there is no hole on the P7. I think on the 8x42 it's not an issue because with 8 power it's easy to hold to keep the image steady. But on 10x42 I can understand that some people would like to look through the binoculars on a tripod. But nowadays I think that you can find tripod adapters which wrap the binoculars. So actually there is no issue. Even if there is no hole here, something we can add maybe is the neckstrap. So honestly, the neckstrap on the P7 is very simple. So I like the double layer on the 3S. You see that there is one layer here and a second layer here. So when I have the binoculars around my neck, I feel less the tension, but the P7 is very lightweight. We can talk about the focus wheel. So the focus wheel, yes, is stiff on the 7S, and on the P7 in 10x42 is also quite stiff. They have it's quite strange. They have the same tension, while on the 8x42 the focus wheel was very smooth. So I don't know whether there is variation on the P7 series, or it is a deliberate choice from Nikon. I think that with 10 power it's nice to have a quite stiff focus wheel, because the goal of a 10 power is to see more details, and when you want to see more details, you want to be as accurate as possible. Now let's talk about the Diopter ring. So this is a classic ring on the 7S, and a lockable ring on the P7. I wouldn't like to see all my efforts to adjust the binoculars on the first quarter moon falling apart in 1 second. just because the ring moved 1/10 millimeter to the left or to the right. But if you manage to lock the ring without any movement, you will be happy.